So, hey, where were you before working with this? Was it like, how long were you searching for? I don't actually remember when you talked to Derek.
That's a hard question to answer. I started in September of last year, so about just a little over a year ago. Actually, had found something in March, and then COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of 6 months of delays and not a lot of online applications that weren't turning into anything.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you get an automated email for a job you had forgotten you'd applied for. It was, so long ago. And so that's where my frustration was. I wasn't getting, online applications weren't working, and I wasn't getting to anybody that could get me to the people that would actually look at a resume and talk to me and make a hiring decision.
So I didn't even know it had been 12 months. Wow.
So, yeah. I left my last job 18 months ago, but it was a voluntary separation. So the first 6 months were kind of sabbatical family time. I think it was after the third job that I was extremely qualified for, never getting an interview.
Yeah. And I do know, you got a job inside, I believe it was like 30 days with something like, I don't remember what the increase was, 40K or something like that from your previous role. Is that right?
The base salary for my new role is above my combined base and incentive comp for my old role. If I were to have made it all, and this has incentive comp on top of that. So yeah.
Awesome, man. How do you feel?
So, I feel good. I'm having weird thoughts, coming back to work in a remote environment. It's like, okay, so what's the dress code, right?
Yeah. I don't think there is one.
Well, but there's kind of got to be something, and as I sit here in a t-shirt, but on Monday morning, I have a Microsoft Teams call for orientation. Like, do I need a tie? Do I overdo it? Is just a shirt with a collar?
Well, the good news is you already got the job and signed the contract, man. So I think you can wear whatever you want.
So it was kind of funny because I had to tell Linda this morning that I didn't get that far in. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've heard a lot of people talk about, the huge value of getting the automation set up. And I wish I had gotten there to see it, in case this doesn't work out and I'm doing this again in a year or so. But watching the videos, I hadn't even gotten as far as I should have gotten on my master tracker. Although I think I mentioned this, the company that I'm now working for was already on my list.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a company I was going to target. And, putting that together, watching the videos, care of the interview prep and the videos with the interview prep. And, certainly working with Katie on the resume and getting that done. And my next door neighbor had come over to me, I told you, and said, send me your resume. And I think I had my first call with Katie like that day.
Yeah.
So I didn't send him my resume for like the week or 10 days, whatever it took for Katie and I to get that finalized and then me to get it up on LinkedIn and everything like that. Then I sent it to him.
Sometimes it's just a couple things, sometimes people are struggling for a long time, and sometimes people think it's your resume. It's how you're networking. It's how you're interviewing. It's what you're saying. And when you combined everything, most of the time, we're doing the same process of everyone else. There's only so many ways you can get a job, right? Like look good on paper, network, seize opportunities and have those right conversations. So, hey, and I noticed you just talked to Linda this morning. What advice would you have for someone who's, struggling in a job search for, or just starting and they don't have a plan? What would you tell someone if they were here right now who is considered working with us?
I would tell them join, because you think you might know what you need to do, but you don't. If you've been in the job market and not been successful, your plan isn't working. If you haven't been in the job market for someone like me for a very long time, you don't know what it takes in today's job market. You may think you know people, but those connections, sometimes they just don't have the jobs. And, to find so quickly a job in this market, especially with COVID going on, and go to Tim and follow their plan. And, the advice that I gave Linda this morning was, it's going to take work. And I confess to, I was behind on my master tracker. I had done the videos and everything like that. And it had actually gone back to some of the videos on the master tracker and stuff again. But, when you start thinking about 75 companies, it's both a lot and it's not a lot.
Yeah.
But to get that, to get the people that are hiring that are hiring, okay, that's pretty straightforward. Then to put your kind of dream job list together, I think is pretty straightforward. But then when you really want to start researching those companies that you don't even know about.
Yeah. How can you leverage networks? How can you do this? And a lot of the time, we just tell people too, like, hey, this takes work. We're going to have to talk to people. The only way to get better at interviewing, the only way to get better at having effective conversations, et cetera, is to practice. I wish we could give you just a pill that you could swallow and you could just absorb all the information, but unfortunately it's just not that way. It's just kind of like getting in shape,
It is, and I think back to as I was graduating college, we had a career placement office and I spent a lot of time because, getting a job was important. And they did that. They had their resume. And writing a resume for a college grad is so different than writing a professional resume, targeting a director or above level job. It's not the same. And they did the mock interviews and I thought they were stupid back then. And they can be, well, right there, it feels like you're play acting and that's out of people's comfort zone. But doing it, and of course we know this, right? I mean, you think of, if I'm going into a new client and talking to them, and I'll stick with consulting versus sales. If I need to convince them that they need to do X, Y, Z to be successful in their project, and these are the issues, of course I practice that. I prep for it over and over again. You sit down with the team, you each say your parts, you each know what you're going to do. So you go in and you rock it. So why in the heck would you not do that for an interview? A sales pitch, you're trying to make a $10 million sale, you freaking practice. Why would you not practice a sales pitch for you?
Well, I think the problem is, and even wrapping up this video too, is you say the word practice, right? But sometimes people don't even know like what they should say. They don't have a plan. So sometimes it's really hard to practice if you don't have a plan on how the call should go. And furthermore, the pitfalls of the call, right? Well, what if they say this? Well, what if they say that, So,
and I kept the document, the nailing the interview document. And it's kind of funny because I would never have been able to bring those into a physical interview and have them set out in front of me. But, when you're doing Zoom interviews, it's like, okay, 30 seconds or, 1 minute, 10 seconds on me, 30 seconds on this, 20 seconds on this, stick to it. And to be able to just see some of those samples. And, I had my notes on them too of ways to call out the unknown objections and, ways to close, and just being able to see that and to write it down and have it in front of you. So you're not getting there and being nervous and forgetting all that. Yeah. And, and working with Katie too, and, she did a great job of drawing out numbers. Okay, well, but how many people were on those teams? How many dollars in that budget, and putting stuff like that. And not all of them went into the resume, but I made notes of all of them so that they were part of my arsenal.
Yeah, it helps a lot because, when people come to us, a lot of people don't have good resumes and most people just want to talk about what they do and not the impact they had. So I'm glad we were able to pull you up, glad you were able to express it on that interview. And we wish you the best of luck in your new job, man. And be sure to keep in touch with us.
I will do it.